Welcome to Self-Evident Truth with the Grumpy Old Vet. That's me. This is episode 19. Um, this one's going to be a little bit longer today. It's going to be closer to the 45-minute mark, but it's important and it's good. It's entertaining. You'll like it. You'll find out some things that you didn't know before and probably some things that you wish you didn't know. But so hold on and sit tight, get the popcorn, get the soda, because here we go. Anyway, if anybody hasn't found out by now, I've announced my run for sheriff of Hillsdale County. I put my paperwork in here a little bit ago, just before the cutoff date. And there was a video that was taken of me talking after President Trump's August rally in Grand Rapids, in which I made some statements, some observations of our Hillsdale County Sheriff, Scott Hodshire, who was there. And after I made those observations, someone sent him the video, and which I really didn't care. And I got an interesting email, or I'm sorry, an interesting text message from Scott. Now, see, Scott and I have texted each other and sent messages to each other all the way back to 2012. I've kept all of them, and even screenshots of the Facebook stuff that was put out during that time, and things that his brother said about him, and things that him and I discussed about his brother and the things that were being said, and even some of the Facebook posts that were put out supposedly by his mother, but were actually put out by his brother. And I'm not going to be touching on probably any of that, but I did want to touch on this text message. So I'll pull that up on the screen so that you can see it, but I'll read it to you right here. He sent this to me. It says, "I watched your ridiculous video that was sent to me in reference to me giving the FBI authority in my county. Show me where I gave that authority. The FBI contacts me directly before entering my county and conducting any interviews. Just ask Lance Lashway. If the FBI shared my county, why wasn't the restaurants shut down? Why weren't people wearing masks? I advised Hillsdale County residents that I don't enforce orders. We enforce laws, and that I would not be shutting down businesses. Just ask Mitch from Spangler's Restaurant. He will verify that. Also, your comment on my military-style attire and the only one wearing it is a complete lie. The three sheriffs that were in black had the exact pants I had on. The only difference was the shirt. I was the only sheriff there with an outer vest carrier on, and no other sheriff had on a vest. My deputies are dressed exactly how I was dressed. I was very comfortable on stage, contrary to what you believe. In 2019, when I was running for sheriff, I didn't have access to Trump signs like you did. Just because I wasn't handing out his signs doesn't mean I didn't support him. Everyone knows that this is a Trump county. I noticed that the 5 or so people that were at your meeting didn't even know the answers to your Constitution questions. Train your sheep before you start blasting everyone else. I will be putting out a video addressing all your videos and letting the good people in Hillsdale County know just how much you lie. If this county was to elect you, we will be taking 30 years off of the progress we have made. Keep spreading your lies and your conspiracy theories, and keep the Hodshire name out of your mouth. Keep up the lies, and I will hire a lawyer and sue you for slander. Do not respond to this text message. I will also be keeping this text because I know how much you will change what I say into something that will fit your agenda." Sent to me by Scott Hodshire. Oh, Scott. First thing is, I wouldn't change a word of what you said, buddy. Why would I? I guess maybe you should have checked with your brother before you, out of Feelings sent me this text message. Um, Dude, you can't answer things out of knee-jerk reaction feelings. You got to start using more logic and reason. Let your uh, let your reason control your passion, not your passion control your reason, buddy. Because here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to change a word of it, not not one little bit. And I'm going to answer this line for line. And so this should be fun, shouldn't it? We're going to go ahead and start with the first part. It says, I watched your ridiculous video that was sent to me in reference to me giving the FBI authority in my county. My county. Capital M, capital Y. My county. Not not completely sure, Scott, because I obviously don't know the Constitution as well as you do. But I thought it was the county that belonged to the people, and I thought you were just the caretaker of that department and the executive of the county. See, not that it was your county. I think it still belongs to the people, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. You know, you know so much about the Constitution. Show me where I gave that authority. The FBI contacts me directly before entering my county and conducting any interviews. Just ask Lance Lashway. Okay, well, let's talk about where the federal government and the FBI has control in our county. See, we've got this black Humvee. It's a 998 Charlie model. The reason why I know that is because I spent time in the military. I spent time driving those vehicles. I know what kind of maintenance that is that is entailed to keep them going, and it's not cheap. The other thing I know is Ford, Chrysler, and GMC, Chevy. They don't make those vehicles. So see, those aren't vehicles you can just go to one of those dealers and buy. Those vehicles come directly from the federal government. Directly from the federal government. Now, number one, the federal government doesn't give anything away that it doesn't come with strings. Not a thing. So there's strings. It's just the people have not had any transparency to know what those strings are. The other thing is, why on God's green earth would Hillsdale County need an M998 Charlie Humvee, military style Humvee? What? Why would we need that? Why would the people of this county have to pay for the maintenance of that? For parades? For what? Is it an ego thing? Is it a something we have to have? If you wanted to drive one, all you had to do is sign up and join the military, but you didn't do that. See, some of us did, and we drove them. We understand what they're for. They're military vehicles. They're military vehicles to conduct combat operations in. They're not vehicles to conduct county law enforcement in. There's not a need for that at all. All it is a burden on the taxpayers that come with strings attached. So how did we get that? Did your brother write the grant for it? I know you promised that when you were running in 2020 that if they'd elect you, your brother that was an illegal undersheriff for 10 years, he would do what he did before for that department. Which was what exactly? I don't understand. So that's that part of it. The second part, just ask Lance Lashway. Well, I did ask Lance Lashway, and Lance did call when the investigator special agent Richard Trask, now jailed, convicted, and fired from the FBI because he's such a great guy, came to his place. Lance did call you, and he said they don't have any probable cause because they didn't have a warrant or anything to be on that property. Now, they do have the ability under case law that they can come up and knock on the door. It's called consensual contact, and they can be on the curtilage to come up and knock on the door and then leave if they're not invited to stay longer, right? Isn't that what the law says? In that case law, Scott, on that? But see, he called and he said, I don't want you to tell them to get off my property. I want to trespass them off my property. And you said you wouldn't do that, but you'd send an officer out to keep the peace. Okay. No, you have an obligation to escort people off the property or tell people to leave the property that are trespassing on the property. It's kind of your function, right? Now they're not guilty of trespass until they're actually trespassed with Lance telling them that they had to leave. And then when you or your officers do not tell that person that they have to leave, then you're not really doing your job. And then if that person, after being actually trespassed, decides not to leave or they linger longer, as the law says, then they're guilty of criminal trespass. And your officers have an obligation at that point in time, just like you. But see, I did ask Lance, you didn't fulfill your duty. You didn't fulfill your duty. You didn't trespass that FBI agent that later, 6 weeks later, attacked his wife, was jailed and fired. Yeah, that kind of a person. Yeah, you didn't do anything with that. So I did ask Lance about that. Yeah. Also, it says, if the FBI shared my county, why wasn't the restaurants shut down? Why weren't people wearing masks? First off, why wasn't the restaurants shut down? Okay, buddy, I know where you went to school. I know you had better English training than that. Um, let's let's use some proper English, especially if you're going to write something like this against somebody and try to trash them. At least use proper English, okay? So why wasn't the restaurants shut down? Why weren't people wearing masks? Well, because if you remember, in the state of Michigan, it was the governor that issued those orders. See, Scott, this makes me worry that you don't know the difference between federal government and state government. See, the federal government doesn't enforce state law or mandates or rules or any of that. And uh, the state can enforce the federal laws, rules, and regulations. So I'm kind of worried that you don't understand the difference between the two, because if a governor's order was shutting the restaurants down, the FBI wouldn't be in here shutting the restaurants down anyway. They can't. It's a state order, not a federal order. So I'm a little worried about that, buddy. You're supposed to be the CLEO, the chief law enforcement officer, and you don't know the difference between federal authority and state authority. It's a little scary, buddy. Um, and then, why weren't people wearing masks? Well, let me take you back to the 2020 campaign. In the beginning of 2020, when the whole COVID scare was on, you put out a Facebook post asking if the other two sheriff's candidates would suspend campaigning because of the dangerousness of the COVID-19. And you yourself hid in your house for 7 weeks. The whole time you were hiding in your house, I was using my First Amendment right to assemble in Lansing with many other people against these draconian mandates. I wasn't hiding anywhere. I didn't wear a mask. I knew the truth. I put out a video in May of 2020 telling people the truth. I took lots of hits on that. I remember the 18 people that went to Gridlock in our picture that there was there, and people were saying, "Oh, how I was going to bring the COVID back to Hillsdale, and I was going to kill everybody, and oh, how dangerous I was." Well, during that whole time, I was in about 8 different states. I was around millions of different people, hugged them. I had family members that had COVID-19. I'm not dead. So some of us understood what was going on right up front. Some people hid for 7 weeks because they didn't know and because they were afraid. So people weren't wearing masks because the people who did wear masks understood exactly what was going on. They weren't afraid. Um, so that's where we are. Why weren't people wearing masks? You said you advised the county, the Hillsdale County residents, that you don't enforce orders. You, you say we enforce laws, and that you would not be shutting down businesses. Well, by the time you got in, Scott, as sheriff, by the time Tim Parker quit and you were put in, which that whole debacle was wrong by the law, um, all of that whole mess was over. All right, because that was at the end of 2020, coming into 2021. There was very little of that left at all. So at that point in time, that was after the October 2022, or I'm sorry, the October 2020 hearing in the Supreme Court, in which the Supreme Court pushed back on the governor and the legislature and said, well, legislature can't lend the governor their power. The governor cannot make laws with executive orders. So at that point in time, that was all over anyway. And it was just the health department that was pushing things. And yeah, let's go ask Mitch Spangler about it. Because the Republican Party that you agreed to sue with Brent Leiniger, that party, the America First Party, we were the ones that actually supported Mitch Spangler. We were the ones that had him come in and speak. We were the ones that rallied. We were the ones that had the demonstrations to rally behind Spangler's restaurant. Why? Because Mitch was in a bad spot. Mitch made the right decision. Mitch had courage to stand up against what was wrong. And we supported him in standing against what was wrong. So yeah, let's go ask Mitch Spangler about that. And let's see if he verifies that. So, you can say a lot of things, but actions speak way louder than words. A man can say that he believes anything, but when it comes down to it, you have to watch how he acts to know what's truly in his heart. So you can claim to be brave all day long, but when you hide in your house for 7 weeks because you're afraid of a virus, because you're afraid of the flu, and then you become a tough talker after the fact, doesn't give me a lot of confidence, buddy. Not a lot of confidence in it at all. So that's that part of it. Let's go into the next part of it. Next part of it says, also, your comment on my military style attire and the only one wearing it is a complete lie. Don't believe your lying eyes. Believe what I've got to say. Okay. Well, we're going to test that. Okay. We'll test and see if it's a complete lie. The 3 sheriffs that were in black had the exact pants I had on. Again, English skills, buddy, because it makes it sound like there's 3 of you in the same pair of pants. Okay. English skills. I know your English teacher. I know where you went to school. You were taught it. Use it. So what I'm thinking is you're saying that they were wearing the exact kind of pants that you had on. The only difference was the shirt. Yeah, you had black shirts on, but yours was a BDU style shirt, and theirs had the epaulets on it, like a Class B shirt or like a military dress shirt. It says, I was the only sheriff there with an outer vest carrier on, and no other sheriff had on a vest. Yeah, every other sheriff had on a second chance vest, but it was an undervest. It wasn't an outer flak vest that they were wearing. And that's exactly what makes you look military. Because in the military, we wore outer flak vests. See, those other officers that were there, they had protection on too. But theirs was underneath. It wasn't exterior. It didn't look like they were getting ready to go into a war zone. They looked professional. My deputies are dressed exactly how I was dressed, and that's part of the problem, right? This is part of the problem. We talk in America about the militarization of the police. We don't want that as citizens, and I don't think the citizens of Hillsdale want a military occupational force doing law enforcement for them. I think what they want is they want professional peace officers and law enforcement officers, ones that look the part. Because see, if you want to be something, you dress that way, you act that way, you become that. And that's what I'm afraid of. And that's what a lot of other citizens are afraid of too, is this military mindset. When I was in the Army, we had a saying, it was kill them all, let God sort them out. The problem is in law enforcement, when we start getting this military idea, this military feeling, this military ideology, we come up with sayings like arrest them all, let the courts sort them out. That's really not your job as sheriff. See, your job as sheriff is taking an oath to defend the rights of the people. You're the one that should be defending it. They're not the ones that should have to defend it in court. You're the ones that should have to defend their right. You took an oath to it. It's not their job to take it to the Supreme Court to find out whether it is or isn't constitutional. It's your job to know that it is, because obviously you know so much about the Constitution. And so that's part of the problem. The other thing is, let's go through the uniform, shall we? We've got some problems with the uniform. You know, the Sesame Street thing, you know, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Yeah. Let me pull the picture up and we'll go through the picture. See, that picture will show we've got one sheriff here that's wearing what would be a military Class A uniform. That is the sport jacket or the jacket, the dress pants, dress shirt, and tie on. That's a Class A uniform. And then you'll see the other sheriff standing there. He doesn't have the coat on, but he's got the professional pants, the shirt, and the tie. You know, it's a dress attire, and that would be a Class B uniform. And then if we look at the other sheriff, he's wearing the dress pants and the dress shirt, no tie. That would be considered a Class C uniform in the military. Now, anytime you are coming in contact with the public in the military, especially if you were with higher elected officials or higher brass, you would wear the Class A uniform. If you were working in a shop or an office where you would come in contact with the public once in a while or quite often, like a recruiter, you would wear a Class B uniform. But if you were working in a shop or an office on a military post or somewhere where you weren't going to come in contact with the public only in rare occasions, but you had a professional type job, you would wear the Class C uniform. And then we've got the uniform you're wearing, which is known as BDUs. It's called a battle dress uniform. That battle dress uniform, yes, you were wearing the same kind of pants as the three sheriffs in black pants, which means they had cargo pockets. So they weren't really dress pants or professional type dress pants. They were military style pants with cargo pockets. The difference is you're the only one with your pants bloused like a paratrooper. Okay? Nobody else got their pants bloused like a paratrooper. You do. With cargo pants on that have the cargo pocket, with a brown flak jacket on, and a battle dress uniform shirt. See, the other black shirts that they're wearing have epaulets on them. Those epaulets are usually on a dress style military shirt. You're wearing battle dress uniform shirt. That's military. That's military combat style, buddy. That's not paramilitary. If you look at all the other sheriffs, they are all wearing paramilitary style uniform. You're the only one wearing a combat uniform. You're the only one standing there with a tactical holster on and all this gear on. Okay, and I see that your brother, with his association for those 10 years that he was the illegal undersheriff, obviously called the Sheriff's Association, pulled some strings, made sure you got right next to Trump because you thought that was going to be a good campaign photo. Buddy, that's not a good campaign photo because, that Sesame Street thing, one of these things is not like the other. You stick out like a sore thumb. You're an embarrassment to Hillsdale County standing there like that, looking like you're in military style, like you're ready to go to combat. Being the chief law enforcement officer is not a combat role, buddy. No, you are the chief protector of the Shire Reeve. Dress like it, act like it. The next part of your text, where you say, I was very comfortable on stage, contrary to what you believe. In 2019, when I was running for sheriff, I didn't have access to Trump signs like you did. Just because I wasn't handing out his signs doesn't mean I didn't support him. Everyone knows that this is a Trump county. Well, yes, they do know that. So let's go through that. You were very comfortable on stage. Well, on the news when they were showing President Trump speaking, no, everybody else had a relaxed look on their face. You didn't have that classic Cheshire smile that you have. You were scanning the crowd left and right, like you were part of the Secret Service. You were probably in the most secure place you ever could have been, right there next to Trump. So yeah, you could have relaxed a little bit, but I think it was probably that military style battle dress uniform that you were wearing that kind of uh, shadowed probably the way you were feeling or how you were acting. So yes, you didn't look like you were comfortable. You didn't look the same as the other sheriffs there, relaxed and enjoying the speech. So that's all I'll say about that part. Now, on to in 2019, when you were running for sheriff, you didn't have access to the Trump signs like I did. Well, here's why. See, Scott, I was a member of the Republican Party. The Republican Party got so many Trump signs, and myself and John Smith handed out probably most of those Trump signs. And it didn't matter to us, it didn't matter to me who they were supporting for sheriff. If they wanted a Trump sign, I got a Trump sign to them. And when I dropped off the Trump sign, I never once campaigned to them about who they were supporting for sheriff. Not once. So you would have had the same access to the sign, but see, buddy, you never belonged to the Republican Party. That is until you, along with Brent Leiniger and Marnie Cast and some of the others, decided to sue us that we're actually doing something with the Republican Party and supporting Trump. You're the ones that sued us. See, you weren't ever part of the party. You were never part of the party. People in your family have never been part of the Hillsdale Republican Party. Never. Some of us have been party members for a very long time. Some of us did more than just voted for Trump. See, you think that you supported Trump because you voted for him. Well, good for you. So did about 73 million other people. But some of us actually went out and put signs in yards, actually put rallies on, actually showed up at rallies and did that stuff. See, we were the ones that actually supported Trump. We didn't just depend on going and voting once every 4 years. Now, the party could only get so many Trump signs, and we had more people asking for Trump signs than we had Trump signs. So you know what some of us did, buddy? Some of us took money out of our own pocket and we went to these little places that they print political signs. You know, they're around. You can go there and you can order whatever kind of sign you want. And it's an amazing thing. And so we could order Trump signs and pay for them and then hand them out to people that wanted Trump signs so that we could support Trump. So, but what you put here is very telling, where you say, everyone knows that this is a Trump county. Well, yeah, that's the whole reason why you say you support Trump, because you know it's a Trump county. And so you're hoping that because you support Trump, people will support you. The problem is you didn't really support Trump, buddy. Tell the truth. What you did was you voted for Trump. That doesn't mean you supported Trump. Some of us went out there, spent our own money. Some of us went out there, spent our own time. Some of us went out there and put Trump signs in yards. We did that. You didn't. Some of us belonged to the party. Some of us were working towards that goal to get Trump elected. You didn't, buddy. You were too busy trying to get yourself elected and not worrying about anything else. See, some of us were running a campaign and trying to support Trump, not you. But you figure if you voted for Trump, that makes you a Trump supporter. You just keep thinking that, little buddy. You just keep thinking that. Now let's get on to the next part of it, shall we? This is fun. You said, I noticed that the 5 or so people that were at your meeting didn't even know the answers to your Constitution questions. Train your sheep before you start blasting everyone else. Well, Scott, I'm a little worried that you're taught English and don't have those skills. And I know you're taught math, but maybe you can't count either. But here's a little picture. This is how many people were there. A little bit more than 5. See, it's not like the party meetings that you go to since you sued us and you show up at the other side's party, where you guys get about 12 to 20 people maybe. See, this is one of the small, just look at that picture and count. This is one of the small gatherings that we have, because we go from this small to up to 150, 160 people, buddy. See, the party you support that sued our party, that sued us, the ones that actually supported Trump, we get a whole lot more people than what you guys get. But see, you couldn't show up at the party when it was a party that supported Trump. You couldn't show up at party meetings that have that many people. Instead, you sued us. You conspired with other people to help fix the 2022 election, in the precinct delegate election in 2022. You conspired. Now, see, there's a federal law against that, buddy. That's election interference. And to conspire with another person, when 2 or more conspire, it becomes a Title 18 offense. That's a criminal offense. It's a federal felony. So when you did that, and that little group that you've got that decided to sue us for 2 years so that we couldn't have meetings where we have 65 to 150 people show up, that's the only time you started coming to party meetings, right? And right now, I don't see you guys doing anything for the community. We raised Toys for Tots. We did Jasmine's Voice, which is getting iPads to children that have autism so that their voices can be heard, so that they can learn to communicate and people can communicate with them so they're not in a prison of their own disability. See, we do things like that. We've had other fundraisers. We've raised money for Helping Hands, for an agency that actually helps single pregnant women, and helps them through that pregnancy, in hopes that they will keep the baby and not murder the baby, which is easy to do in Michigan now after they passed, Proposal 3 in Michigan in 2022. And, one of the other people in your party that backs you, Mark Wiley, he supported Proposition 3, and he thought it was horrible that the Roe v. Wade was overturned. Oh, by the way, too, bringing up Mr. Wiley, he's the one that had his political opponents arrested, right? And he got you to do it because I guess you didn't understand the First Amendment either. Buddy, there's some concerns, some real concerns. Now you say, getting on to the next part, you say, I will be putting out a video addressing all your videos and letting the good people of Hillsdale know just how much you lie. Okay, first you called people sheep, but now you're calling them the good people of Hillsdale. So are they just the good people of Hillsdale if they support you, but they're sheep if they support me? Or are all the people in Hillsdale good people? See, I happen to believe all the people in Hillsdale are good people. I believe that all the people in Hillsdale have all of the rights guaranteed to them by the Bill of Rights and granted to them individually by God. So, see, not just part of them. I don't think you should check with your brother, your campaign manager, because I think he'll tell you that it's really not good when you're running for an office to call people sheep, especially people that you're going to want to vote for you. It's not a good idea. And then you're going to let all the good people know how much I lie. Please do. Please do. Um, I mean, there's been stories being told about me from your family that isn't even close to true, and it's been going on for a decade. So yeah, keep it up. Keep telling them. Keep informing people how much I lie. Because you know what? Here's the beautiful thing: time has a way of telling the truth, and it doesn't come off the lips of any man. Time will tell the truth, and experience will show people the way. If this county was to elect you, we will be taking, oh, I'm sorry, still on the letting good people of Hillsdale know just how much you like. If this county was to elect you, we will be taking 30 years off of the progress we have made. Progress. So you're a progressive now? Progress. What progress have we made in 30 years, Scott? In 2012, you were claiming that we hadn't done any progress, that it was horrible what was being done, right? Remember? Remember, you used to talk to me about how horrible what was going on in Burkhart's regime, and you were getting that directly from your brother. Yeah. Remember the stories you shared with me? I do. I even remember the ones that you put in text and message. I still have that. So yeah, 30 years? That wasn't 30 years ago, Scott. That wasn't 30 years ago. And, the problem is there's no progress to be made in solid ancient principles. That's like saying, well, it's a good thing that the church has made progress today, good progress to God's word. Really? Because if it's a true principle, it's already at its pinnacle. There is no progression to be had. So you're telling me that there's been 30 years of progress? Well, if there's been 30 years of progress, why'd you run in 2012? Right? So I'm not quite understanding that, Scott. It sounds to me like you're telling me that you're a progressive now, right? A Woodrow Wilson progressive. Keep spreading your lies and your conspiracy theories and keep the Hodshire name out of your mouth. Really. Okay? Conspiracy theories. Is it really a theory when it's proven to be fact? No conspiracy there. It's just fact. Now, the thing is, most conspiracies aren't conspiracies. They're self-evident truth. It's the natural nature of man that can explain most of it. The Bible tells us what the natural nature of man is. Our founders understood what the natural nature of man was. They didn't deem it good or bad, they just deemed it what it was, and then they put little architectural safeguards within our Constitution to protect us from the natural nature of man, pitting the ambition of the man against the ambition of the man. Federalist 51, if you didn't know that. But I'm sure you did, right? Keep the lies out of the mouth. Well, Scott, keep up the lies and you will hire a lawyer and sue me for slander. Please do. Oh, please, please do. Please sue me for slander. This will be so fun. See, Scott, I don't need a lawyer. If you sue me for slander, I will defend myself and I will be in court. Please, please do. I beg you to do that. This would be fun. Um, and keep the Hodshire name out of your mouth, out of my mouth. How about if we play a little game? Let's play a little game. What Hodshire was an illegal undersheriff for 10 years? I would whistle the Jeopardy theme, but I think that would be a little gauche. So you don't have to answer in the form of a question either. You can just yell out the answer if you've got it. So which Hodshire was an illegal undersheriff for 10 years? Don't know. Which Hodshire gave me the information that that Hodshire was an illegal undersheriff for 10 years? I don't know. Which Hodshire used his brother's MCOLS number because he didn't have one on official paperwork? I don't know. Which Hodshire sued the county for wrongful termination and received $100,000? I don't know. And that only happened because there was another Hodshire that knew that his brother wasn't the one that gave the information on his other brother being an illegal undersheriff for 10 years. And when Sheriff Burkhart thought that it was his other brother that did that and fired him without just cause that cost that money to the taxpayers, there was another Hodshire that never spoke up. There was a couple Hodshires that never spoke up and let Sheriff Burkhart know where that information came to me from. Which Hodshire didn't have the courage to say anything about his brother being an illegal undersheriff? It's another good question, isn't it? That's a good question. I like that one. And there's some other questions we can ask, like what sheriff or which Hodshire ate a cookie from a very personal place of a female officer's body while at the department? That would be another good question. I got all kinds of good questions. Good trivia show. Good trivia show. But you know all those answers, don't you, Scott? Maybe if we have a debate, maybe you'll show up at that one. Maybe if we promise to only have those questions, those ones you know the answers to, maybe you'll come to the next debate. See, you won't come to a debate. Wonder why? Because obviously you know more about the Constitution and the law than I do, right? So, yeah, I would welcome that slander suit, buddy. Bring it on. I would welcome that. Okay. Do not respond to this text message. I will also be keeping this text because I know how much you will change what I say into something that will fit your agenda. Buddy, I wouldn't change a word of this. Why would I? Why would I? The only thing is, maybe you should have asked your brother, your campaign manager, you know, who, before you sent this, because I think he would have told you, Scott, don't do that. I think he would have told you, Scott, you're operating on emotion, on feelings, and not logic and reason. But that's kind of scary because a sheriff should operate on logic and reason and not on emotion. See, you need to let your reason control your passion, not your passion control your reason. And so I would not change a word of what you sent me, buddy. I just wouldn't do it. So you go ahead if you want to bring that slander suit on me if you'd like. I'll be happy to answer it, and we'll go through that. But while you're doing that, keep an eye out for my buddies at the Marshal Service because they've got some paper to serve on you too. Well, with that, I think we've covered everything that we need to cover on that. So with that, I won't go into this any further. I just was going to answer back on this because I'm tired of this kind of crap. But from here on out, I'm going to stay strictly on my platform, what my platform is. And, Scott, in 2019, you asked me for a clean campaign, and you didn't. You guys know what you did with hiring Wes Luediker. You know what you did. You know the dirt that you did. You know what you played. It's all right, buddy. Just keep playing those tactics. Keep convincing yourself that that's a clean campaign. That's fine. This is the only dirt I'm going to do because it was dirt that you slung directly onto my phone. And so I'm going to sling it right back at you with the truth. And so everybody can see the truth. But from here on out, bud, I'm staying on my campaign. I'm going to do my thing. You do your thing. I think that's the best way to do it. We'll let the people of Hillsdale decide as long as it's a fair campaign, as long as you're not conspiring to do anything else with the elections, are you? It's just a question. Are you? So, with that, that'll conclude this self evident truth with the grumpy old vet. May God bless Hillsdale. May God bless America.